Good morning, friends. Hello. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing grand this morning. It is a beautiful fall day outside. We are at an amazing 44 degrees this morning. So fall has arrived. The frost is on the pumpkin, as they say. Good morning. Hope you're doing great. We are down here in Bethany Hall this morning. So hope you're doing grand. Hey, Jamie, good morning to you. Just going to step over here and do one thing. Good morning, everybody. All right, friends, I'm back. Good morning. Little mug up this morning. You got to keep your strength up. Hey, Robin, Julie and Robin in from Montreal. We've gone international, everybody. It's terrifying and wonderful all at the same time. Hey, Donna, good morning to you. Glad you're here. Hello, friends. Got folks from all over this beautiful land. And as Robin and Julie are out traveling for Robin's 25th anniversary trip of her ordination. And so what an incredible blessing it is that she has spent 25 years laboring in the field. She is truly, if not the best, one of the very best pastors I know. And it is such a joy to have her as a colleague and a friend in these days. So, I'm glad she's here today. So we can lift her up. So good morning, friends. We'll give it one or two more folks coming along. Like, join me in a little mug up before we get going this morning, if you like. It is really a wonder of this little community that we've created here. So, good morning, friends. Hey, John, good morning to you. How's the Live Free and Die state is treating you well, and that this season of fairs is wrapping up, maybe, so you can take a little breather. Good morning, everybody. All right, let's get going this morning. It is the 9th day of October on this Thursday at 11:11, and welcome, greetings. Glad you're here and with us. Know that someone has prayed for you today, because that someone, this guy with two thumbs, that if whoever has, it is always my prayer at the end of this that whoever hears this, whoever maybe you stumble across it on the interwebs or you're with us over the long haul, that God's blessing might be upon you in these days. So if you're a part of this and you're hearing my voice right now, know that this day, even if it's years from now, you have been prayed for and you will be. And that kind of gets us to where we want to go. I want to talk about the 16th Psalm of David today. The Psalms are the hymn book of the Israelites, and this 16th Psalm of David, David's a brawler, he's a warrior, right? And so he and this is a psalm of protection. So and it goes two ways. There's those whom are kind of what he says, kind of worthy of God's protection, and those who are not worthy. And this worthy thing, don't get hung up on that. It's really about this notion of how we receive this notion of God's protection. And so the first verse is, as you might guess, "Protect me, O Lord, for in you I take refuge." And so it's this where David starts is this acknowledgement that that you can get yourself in trouble, that there are things that out there that will in fact find us. There are griefs that will break our heart. There is a reality in which we live that everybody we've ever loved is going to leave this world. And some are going to leave them before we do. That there's this reality that we're one good car accident away from a transforming reality in this world. We are one, in David's case, we're one good sword swing away from, we're one good push by the Moabites away from the horror bestowing our people. That there is this fragility to life that we love to just put at the edge of our being. That we and in some ways we have to. Like how do we otherwise get through the day? And the psalm goes on and kind of makes this distinction. But those who acknowledge the need for that, those who can live into that reality, and those who say, "Oh, nope, I'm good, I'm full up. Nope, couldn't possibly hold any more divine protection. Don't need it. I'm good. Thanks. We're all full up here." That kind of hubris, that kind of delusion, if you will. And I'm not saying that it's necessarily delusional to think that we're not always in need of God's protection, though it kind of is. But what I'm saying is it's the delusion to think that we're not all vulnerable. And that vulnerability has this way of shaking us if we don't embrace it, if we don't bring it before our Creator. Because there's this great, it goes on in the 8th verse, which is this. I posted a little part of that, the 8th verse this morning. It goes, "And I keep the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand, and I will not be shaken." And this is what David, as a warrior on the battlefield, as one who is contending with the world as it is, as a world that is in which we are profoundly vulnerable, and as one who is seeking to carve out God's kingdom, God's place in this world, in that world, and if we, what are the elements of God's kingdom in this world? The true, the good, and the beautiful. So he's seeking to carve out this place in which the true, the good, and the beautiful can dwell. And how does he tell us to do it? "I keep the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand, and I will not be shaken." The Band of Brothers series was a World War II series. It follows a very one of the most decorated companies in the 101st Airborne, the 504th Easy Company, and they fight through Normandy, they fight through Bastogne, they fight through Italy. They're everywhere, and they take a lot of casualties, but they're also some of the most. They begin at the very beginning of the World War II, so they fight all 4 years, and they were even prepping to go into Japan towards the end of the war. These steely men that had seen this incredible time of combat again and again and again, and in the book that's written about them, Band of Brothers, and in that series, they say there's this one they say that actually what was the most terrifying, and many of them all say this, that of all the times of going ashore on D-Day, of jumping out of planes, in the dark, all of it. So the most terrifying thing was the Battle of Bastogne and the artillery barrage in the Battle of Bastogne, where many of them came. Many of the more famous characters came away wounded. Some were killed, but all of them, as they declare, as they lived through that artillery barrage, it was the most terrifying thing. That they all came away from it, and the word that they often used was shaken. And this notion that, and it's just such an amazing image to me, not just of these incredible warriors of the past and what they endured, but this notion that what would truly shake them would be the steel that rained from the sky, the explosions, the turmoil, the breaking of the earth around them, the chaos and the horror and the screams in the midst of all that, and the way in which the vibration kind of went right through the blast waves would go right through their bodies, and all of that would shake them. And so, friends, but here's the thing, I think, in the spiritual life, in the spiritual world, and it's something, and it's the thing I think that David's in his psalm, in the 16th Psalm, invites us to think about and invites us to confront, and none of us want to. But the gift that he gives us is he gives us a way to confront it, and it's this: that we all have our own Baston in moments. We all have our own Baston elements. You know, the great moment in Indiana Jones when, you know, he throws down the torch, and down at the bottom is all these snakes in the hole where the treasure is, and and Indy says that famous line, "Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?" Well, because we all have our own snakes. We all have our own Baston, and I'm not just talking about phobias. I'm going to talk about things that we're afraid of. I'm talking about the things that shake us. The things that we contemplate, maybe the loss of in the future, that we have no idea how we might endure if they actually happen. We have the things that even in the midst of us will change our that become these before our life moments and these after our life moments. And the thing about them is that they exist. Mine isn't yours, and yours isn't mine. But the invitation is to think about, what are they? That's what David is lifting up. He says the people the people that you worry about, the people that are really in peril, are the people who are terrified to offer that up to God and acknowledge that they need that. They acknowledge that there are things that are going to rattle them, that are going to shake them. There are things in this life that are snakes. Why do they have to be snakes? And that we can bring that to the God. We can bring that in. We can before we get to that moment in our life. Before we get to it, we can acknowledge our need for that support. We can acknowledge the need for before the steel comes raining in the sky. And maybe it never will, but we can at least bring it to God. Because this is the template that David gives us, which I just think is love. I will keep the Lord before me always. When I find myself in anxiety, in fear, in grief, when I find myself in those places, the first thing I can look to is the Lord. Like I can the thing about our eyeballs is they focus on 1/30,000th of what we can see. Like I can see my hands out on the periphery. You can't see my hands, but I can see my hands out in the periphery. They're out of focus. But I can focus on 1/30,000th of the whole of all that I can see. Friends, what 1/30,000th will you focus on when we might think of these things? See, that's the invitation that David is thinking. When he says, "I keep the Lord before me always," he's saying, like, I keep the Lord in my sight. I keep that and it's not and it's in this confrontation with these things that will shake us, because He is at my right hand. Now, again, this is a world of left hands and right hands, not just being, being able to pitch southpaw or something. But it is a world where it says the right hand is really the thing that you go to, because I keep God the first thing that I go to, says David. It's the first thing I reach for. Like me, I like to reach for a donut. That's kind of my first thing that I reach for. And then, I'll have a donut and a coffee, and then kind of maybe we can deal. But David's a little more enlightened than I am. And so, this notion that because the Lord is ready to, I'm there to reach for Him. And because I will not be shaken. Friends, the invitation in this day is not to be bulletproof, because even the incredible warriors of Easy Company and Bastogne were not bulletproof. The invitation is not to be without weakness, to be without fragility, and it's certainly not to be without vulnerability. But the invitation is to bring those things to the one who made us, to bring those things to the one who has a place for us that is just the right size, in just the right way, in just the right tonic, to soothe the broken heart, to raise up the fearful one, and to quiet the anxious one. That's the gift that God has for us, and that our first thing in it is acknowledging our need for him. That simple willingness of that first line of the 16th chapter. Protect me, O God, for in you I take refuge. That when we're willing in these days to take refuge, when we are willing in these days to simply reach out and cry out to the one who made us, and when we can and sometimes we can keep him before us, and sometimes we can't. But we can always come back. We can always return. And we can because that place that declares, I will not be shaken, is always there waiting for us. So glad you're with us, friends. So glad you're on this journey together. Us and good Reverend Adams back up here, the longest serving pastor of this church, 49 years. Wanted to show him off this morning. We're here just wrapping up pastor's coffee and this whole time together. You know that you're prayed for today. We'll break bread we'll have worship on Sunday at 10 o'clock, and we will break bread afterwards. We're having our fall breakfast. Come hungry. We'll have a ton of great breakfast foods. You know, there's no, as the great Ron Swanson says, there is no problem in the world that cannot be solved by breakfast foods. All right, friends, peace and grace to you all, and we'll pick it up next week with another 11:11.